Watchtower.
We're gonna skate one song only.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see that we're 30 seconds in and Justin has already left the studio.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Everybody, I clicked like the right side of my mouse. I was like, damn. Everybody, welcome to the Man to Man podcast presented by Back Sports Page. I don't know why they're still playing music. All right. So how you doing, Tom?
Man, I had a really big paper due this week. I was stressing over it since Monday when we were done. So I got it off my plate. So now I'm doing a little bit better than I was doing this morning. So how are you today?
That's good, man. That's good. I'm good. We'll talk about it at the end, but I think we both I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know where I was going.
We both have some exciting news for next week's show.
Oh, yeah. We have some good guests coming on, at least next week for sure, one, and then probably two with your guys. So we will definitely have some sweet guests. There's a football player, one ex-NFL cheerleader, which we'll talk about at the end, and then a Butler football player as well. And we're on the road to more and more guests, so we are doing well. I would also like to say this is presented by my dude Matt. What a guy! He's a musician out of Ohio. He's playing acoustic shows all over Cleveland and Cincinnati. Follow him on Instagram at Matt What a Guy for his latest shows and listen to his new song "Good People, Good Beer" on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you get your tunes. So that's like one of my best buddies from when we were younger. He didn't play guitar till he was like 25, and he's sweet at it now. I go to a bunch of his shows, but yeah, he went to Cincinnati, and he does a lot of that stuff. So good for him, and just give him a shout out. If you have anyone you want to give a shout out to in the future, just let me know.
Sounds good.
So today in sports history, we have some great news, just some great stories. In 1904, England cricket all-rounder Bernard Bosanquet takes 6 for 51 as tourists dismiss Australia for 171 in the fourth test in Sydney to regain the Ashes. Take an unassailable 3-1 series lead. There's about 3 words in that sentence that I know.
And one of them is Sydney.
It's a great place. I would love to travel down. I would love to travel to like Australia or New Zealand, other than the fact that they have like 8-foot snakes everywhere and like 25,000-pound spiders. So I'll stay away from there. I'm terrified of snakes. So and then also in 1852, the 14th Grand National, which at the time was basically the Kentucky Derby for the world. Alec Goodman wins his first of 2 Grand National victories. He won this one in 1852 and one in 1866 aboard Miss Mowbray. So that's kind of how horse racing got its start, and I'm sure they gambled on it back in the day. But it seems like a lot of those old. It's so weird because we've come into an age where, I mean, if you think about the history of sports in the United States, I mean, back when, I mean, it was always baseball, boxing, and horse racing. It were like the really big sports, and now it's completely different. You have NBA, NFL, and baseball is falling by the wayside. So, but that's also why people lost a lot of money, because they gambled all their money away that they didn't have. So, on horse races or boxing. So, let's get into some news for the day. Tom, you're not talking very much, so you can go ahead and take those over while I write down my where do you go to school. So go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Yankees manager Aaron Boone will be having a surgery to get a pacemaker put in.
Pacemaker, not a peacemaker. It's attached to your heart.
It's a bitch. Dyslexia is a bitch, man. I don't.
I heard you say peacemaker. I was like, nope. I know it's a pacemaker.
That's not what I say, because that's what I read. Because like dyslexia is a bitch. Let's see. Do you know what it's like? Why he's having it? Do you know like what's wrong with his heart?
I don't know everything. I know we had issues at the end of last season. It seems like a lot of managers had issues at the end of last season,
Yeah.
health-wise and other. I mean, Terry Francona for the Indians, this is off topic, but Terry Francona for the Indians basically missed the entire season last year with an undisclosed injury or like with an undisclosed sickness that they said wasn't COVID, but he didn't like manage at all. So, but a pacemaker doesn't surprise me. I think probably most big time college and big time pro coaches probably have high blood pressure and have a heart rate that's very high. So I can understand that absolutely. But
Yeah, man. I mean, totally makes sense to have it.
yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of takes away the fact that you could just have a heart attack in the dugout and die. I don't know if that's how it works, but
I mean, I love looking at the videos of the meltdowns from the dugout coaches or from the managers when they're disagreeing with the call and they get tossed and then they just have a complete meltdown. Those are my favorite videos to watch.
The best is it's when it's in the minor leagues though. Yeah. And those coaches just don't care at all. Do you remember the video of the guy? Oh, I'll try and find it. Maybe we'll show it next time because I think it's long. But he missed, like he got ejected, and then he went to like the dugout and threw all the bats. And then what was the other guy who did? He went down and like dusted home plate and ran around the bases and like threw the sandbag on the pitcher's mound like a grenade.
Into the outfield and took up second base and threw it into center field. Then there was the guy who he was up in the ump's face. Yelling at him, gets tossed, just turns around to the dugout, puts his head down. I think this was actually a player. He puts his head down, comes back out with the garbage can and put the garbage can right behind home plate and said, "That's you, bro." And I used a different word at the end of that sentence there. He didn't say bro, but he's like, "That's you, bro."
Great. Maybe one of the shows next week we'll have to do our top 5 manager and coach meltdowns. Or a Mount Rushmore of it, and we'll put videos in because I mean, if we just did a whole episode with like meltdowns from coaches and we put videos in where we just kind of commentate, we could easily. It would be one of our most popular episodes.
Oh, I love it! It's great.
Yeah. So you can read B because it really affects you. By the way, I have to ask you after Monday's show of. Are you feeling better now? Do you now realize that Sam Darnold is the worst quarterback in the NFL?
I mean, I wouldn't say he's the worst in the NFL.
Who was it? I think PFF ranked all like 59 different quarterbacks started this year for NFL teams, and I think Sam Darnold was in the top 25. I'm pretty sure, but like. The guys at the end, like RG3 started a game, and like Ben DiNucci, who the Cowboys basically emergency drafted out of James Madison, and he played in like 4 games. And like Kyle Allen, it was just crazy. But go ahead, tell your news about how you're not going to trade your fraud quarterback.
I still wouldn't, but that's just me.
You still wouldn't, or you would?
I mean, I wouldn't if we were like not getting something worth it back. I'm fine trading Sam Darnold. Like I said last week, I'm fine trading him, and I'm also fine keeping him. Like I don't really have a personal preference on either one way or another. I just want to see some commitment to one way or another. But the Joe Douglas today said that he's been taking calls and will be taking calls for Sam Darnold. They're not looking to trade for a star player, probably a quarterback. I don't get that because if you could get a star player for Sam Darnold, like hop on that immediately.
I mean,
I'm fine getting a quarterback, but like if you could get a star player, like, and we're talking star player for Sam Darnold, I would, because then you could draft Zach Wilson or Justin Fields.
Yeah, and like I'm not trying to like belittle the Jets here, but like they're one of the teams where I feel like there's only a couple players that are untouchable. Like I would hold on to Jamison Crowder.
Well, I would too. Who knows if they're going to do that? Because I've been hearing a couple of rumors, not a bunch, but a couple that they could cut him just to save $11 million.
I mean, we've seen it in the past 2 days, but I think we're going to see an unheralded offseason in the NFL players getting cut. Kyle Rudolph got cut yesterday, and so did Kyle Van Noy, who was just in the first year of his $55 million deal. That's crazy. Yeah. But back to the Jets, I wouldn't give up Jamison Crowder. You don't give up Becton ever.
Never.
And some other players are like
Marcus May.
Untouchable. Yeah, I don't know if you were able to get if the Texans asked for Marcus May for Deshaun Watson, you wouldn't throw him in. I mean, I know it depends on what else is in it, but
I mean, well, number one, I think we have to sign him anyway. I think he's a free agent, maybe, but they're talking about franchise tagging him.
He picked up it. They extended him.
Oh, did they?
I'm almost positive.
I thought I heard that they were in talks to do it. I didn't know that they actually did it.
Yeah,
Marcus May's agent slams Jets ahead of contract negotiations and free agency.
Yeah, it says last year or this past season, September 5th, he signed a 4-year, $160 million extension.
Huh, that's weird because I see this article on Bleacher Report. His agent slams Jets ahead of contract negotiations and free agency.
I mean, it's possible he'll want to rework his deal, but I mean that gives him less leverage than ever. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see that ending anywhere near amicable, or it's just going to be bad.
Yeah, no, he's a free agent according to Sports Track.
Then he must not have signed. I mean, I'm reading right now from NFL.com on September 5th, 2020. The Texans have signed quarterback Deshaun Watson to a contract extension worth $160 million.
I'm talking Marcus May here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Deshaun Watson.
No. I said Marcus May, and I said it when I was reading. Marcus May's agent rips Jets for refusing to take care of their best player.
I thought you were talking about Deshaun
I was saying
Watson.
Marcus May. No. I got you.
The Texans would have to sign him, but I mean,
it would be a sign and trade, but it comes up to that. But that's also really hard for me to discuss because I really don't want to see the Jets trade for Deshaun Watson. And I've been saying that the past couple of weeks here.
You've kind of swayed me a little bit where to the point where like Sam Darnold to the Jets is kind of like Kareem Hunt to the Browns for me. Like you're never going to get – I mean, you have to remember the market's already been set for that quarterback class by Josh Rosen, who was traded a year later. So and I think they only got a second-round pick out of him.
They got a second? Wow, that's a fleece.
Josh Rosen.
He sucks.
But like I said, we've seen that as like set up the market for that. And like in the same way that I'd be like, yeah, I would love to trade Kareem Hunt for like a star. He's going to be way less valuable. Him and Sam Darnold are way less valuable to other teams than they are to their own teams. So if I'm the Jets, I am either sticking with Sam Darnold this year and bringing in a free agent quarterback, or I'm drafting one. Maybe not right away, but they should look to trade back maybe and draft and see what kind of falls to them.
Yeah, I like the idea of trading back and rolling with Sam for the next 2 years because he's cheap and he's not – like I said, I don't think he's the worst starting quarterback in the league, but he's not obviously not great, but he is 23 years old with a lot of potential. Why not just see what he has for the next 2 years under his super cheap contract? Yeah, but if you're telling me like, we're going to trade him to Pittsburgh for name a defensive player, like literally anyone on defense for them, I would take.
I don't think you get a player for him. There's no way.
Well, they're saying that in this thing that you said or you sent over downplays the idea of trading for a star player, probably a quarterback. Is that when you typed that? Did you mean like they're probably not going to trade for a star quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if that meant in the Darnold move. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
The only thing that makes this tricky for me for the Jets is like we've kind of looked at the quarterbacks that are going to come out in the future, and we really have no idea because a lot of them still haven't played a game yet in college. But in this draft, this draft class is weird to me because you have guy like Trevor Lawrence, who is, I mean, he's the best prospect since Andrew Luck, probably the best prospect since 2000. So he is that, like, if you don't have him, none of the other guys are surefire things.
Yep.
So if they could trade back in a Trey Lance or like someone falls into their lap, a Justin Fields maybe or Zach Wilson, that would be huge. But but if they don't do that, then they have to be willing. Like they have to come out and say they're sticking with Sam Darnold for 2 years because there's no one coming out. There's no one coming out in next year's draft right now that I'm looking at that you would take over Sam Darnold. I don't think. I think, like I said, I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, if you're the Jets, you have to decide, is anyone in this draft class worth more than Sam Darnold is worth right now? Because you can trade Sam Darnold and get other picks and, take whoever you want with the 2. If you're going to stick with Sam Darnold, I honestly, I wouldn't even trade down. I would take Sewell and give him 2 actual linemen to give him some time because he still needs more time to progress and more time to go through the progressions. So if you're going to say Sam Darnold's our guy, we're going to roll with him for the next 2 years minimum because no one's worth it over the next 2 years, fine. But you need to commit to that and stop letting these trade rumors start to get into his head. And it affects the team morale. So you just need to have a plan and stick with it. But, like, you can't just sit here and do nothing because no one else is not going to be sitting stagnant.
When you said that, like, no player in this draft is worth more than Sam Darnold. I meant as a quarterback. Like, what do you mean? What did you mean by that? Because in trade value and in career value and basically every quarterback or the top Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields are all worth more than. So
when I said worth more, I didn't mean like off a trade value chart, or I didn't mean something like that, like where you were going with. When I said worth more, I mean, are they going to be like, are they definitively going to be worth more long-term to the Jets than Sam Darnold? Because if you think Sam Darnold can be that Mark Sanchez that we talked about last show, where he can just be able to get it done sort of enough, like, great. But if anyone's going to propel the offense to a different level, for sure, that it's not going to take a step down, which anyone other than Trevor Lawrence you can't guarantee, then you need to stick with Sam Darnold.
Okay,
if you want to,
go ahead. I mean, it's your team. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I don't mind that at all. Like, I think if you have Sam Darnold, you already have Mekhi Becton right there at left tackle, and then you move Sewell, who's a more natural right tackle. Yeah. But you're taking a huge risk drafting Sewell that high, because if Sam Darnold doesn't work out in the next 2 years, I mean, we don't know if there's going to be another quarterback that's better than Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. So while I don't mind it, if I was a Jets fan, or if the Browns were in the same situation, I would rather probably let him go and build the line and maybe bring in a veteran. It's just.
I think it's really hard to pass up on a guy who's younger than some of the rookies that are coming out.
I agree. And
he's still 23 years old with a lot. Like, he hasn't even hit his prime years. Just like we say with Deshaun Watson, who's 26, he's just entering his prime and he's already top 3. Obviously, I'm not comparing Sam Darnold to Deshaun Watson. They're not on the same level whatsoever, or not even on the same level where Deshaun Watson was 3 years ago. But he is 23 years old. He came out at like 19 into the draft. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was going to say is, like, that draft class, that draft class of quarterbacks is so skewed because Baker Mayfield went number 1 and he's, like, by far the oldest. And so if you want to look at it this way, this is the way I would look at it as a Jets fan. If you get him Sewell or a weapon, he needs to have the kind of year that Baker Mayfield had as a rookie, because they're the same age. So I'll give Sam Darnold the past 3 years, I'll give him a pass on it. But he needs to come out and have the same kind of impactful season that Baker Mayfield had when he was 23. That's my opinion.
Agree. And the fact that you no longer have Todd Bowles or Adam Gase as the head coach, like, I've been a big fan of Saleh for at least the signing.
I think you guys pick, other than Staley, I think you guys got the best head coach by far.
Yeah, well, and obviously Bieniemy didn't move, which I think he would have been a very good head coach.
To get off topic, I think at this point, I think Bieniemy is just waiting for Andy Reid to retire.
Yeah, it's the same thing with McDaniels when he stepped back from the Colts to stay with the OC at the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, Bieniemy's like, okay, Andy Reid, he coaches under him for 2 more years. Then at some point he has to either give up or be like, Andy, you got to retire at some point, man. I got to be head coach or I'm going to leave. So, yeah, but.
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to figure out a good way to kind of lead with it. I want to see the Jets just commit to a plan. Like, if you want to say Sam Darnold's not going to be our guy anymore, then you need to, like, make the move and start getting ready to build. If you are going to keep Sam Darnold, then you got to start making the steps forward to keep him. Because if you keep letting these trade rumors and, like, saying, oh, I'm going to be listening to calls, it's going to get in his head. And honestly, he's not going to want to resign because the Jets suck enough as is for anyone else to try and stay on. But like,
I think
it's different.
I think especially in New York. I mean, the media is crazy in New York. So there's going to be trade rumors probably about every player some day of the week at some point. So he's got to know that he's in New York and he can't take that personally. And yeah, if they want to commit to that plan, I like it. I don't hate it at all. And I am looking back at this trade. Josh Rosen was traded to the Dolphins for their second round pick. So if you look at that to gauge what Sam Darnold would draw, I mean, and this is nothing against Sam Darnold. It's just the market is set because it is. I mean, I don't think you're going to get better than. I would say a 4th round pick, probably. I don't think he'll get better than a 3rd round pick. I don't think he'll get a 3rd round pick. I think you're looking at a 4th or 5th round pick, and that's just not worth it. Like I said, he's more valuable to New York than he is to.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh.
I don't know.
It's going to be Pittsburgh or Chicago. And
well, I don't know. I've heard Russell Will. I mean, we'll get to. We might. You know what? We might as well. We might as well just go and do it.
Just go right in. All right.
Yeah, I've heard Russell Wilson is he's like serious about the Bears,
right?
Which honestly, I would love to see. Like, I would love to see Russell Wilson in Chicago. It's more fun when Chicago's good. And honestly, as I'm not a Bears fan, but as a guy that grew up in Northeast Ohio, it was tough to watch Mitch Trubisky the past couple of years. Like, he clearly wasn't very good, and the fact that they traded all the way up to number 2 to get him when you have guys like Mahomes and Watson that went behind him, it's tough to take.
Don't forget, like you say, traded all the way up to number 2, and I hate that I have to bring this back up. I really do. You say trade all the way up to number 2. Do you remember where they traded up from?
Didn't they trade up from like 6?
No, they traded up from 3 to 2.
Yeah, I know. And they gave up. They gave up
like 2 picks. Yeah, they traded 2 picks to move up 1 spot over the 49ers to get Mitch Trubisky over every other quarterback, and then the 49ers ended up taking
Nick Bosa.
No,
that was the next year. Who did they take the year before that?
I want to say maybe Armstead or Buckner.
Armstead's too old. Armstead's too old. He's 20. He's 26. Buckner's too old. He's 26. Did they get Samuel in the first round?
No.
Debo?
What year was that? I think it was 2017. I'm looking it up. Hang on. It's someone on defense. I know that for sure. Solomon Thomas. That's who it was.
Oh. He's not terrible, but he definitely didn't turn out to be what he was. But
they fleeced 2 picks for the Bears to move up 1 spot for a guy that no one was going to take.
Oh, and that's what makes it so horrible, and I feel bad for Bears fans. Like, I highly doubt Kyle Shanahan was ever going to take Mitch Trubisky.
He wasn't taking a quarterback.
So I just that was weird. And like I said, so we'll get back to Russell Wilson. I know you've seen the memes everywhere of not even the memes, just like memes and like graphics of just how it's the Russell Wilson quote, "I'm tired of getting hit," and then it's just a list of all the edge and big good pass rushers in the AFC or in the NFC West.
Yeah, with the new J.J. Watt edition. It's great. I love him.
I mean, I'm almost to the point where I think it's more likely at this point that Russell Wilson gets traded before Deshaun Watson because I've seen it. I originally I thought the Seahawks, if it would come down to a choice originally, I thought it was they would go with Russell Wilson. They would stick with their quarterback. But the more and more I'm hearing, they want to stay with Pete Carroll more than they want to stay with Russell Wilson. So I'd love to see him in the Bears. That means he's not coming to the AFC. That's great.
That is great.
Yeah, I mean, and even to go back to Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson would be better suited to stay in the NFC. Like
Deshaun Watson's in the AFC.
Oh, I know Deshaun Watson would get traded. They would both fare better in the NFC.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
Especially for a guy like Watson, because, I mean, who are the best quarterbacks in the NFC? Breeze, gone. Brady should be gone by maybe 3 years. You have to, in 3 years, Tom Brady better be retired or I'm going to lose my mind.
Jameis Winston.
Hey, dude, famous Jameis is the
I'm
man.
all about Jameis coming back, dude. Comeback story. Teddy Bridgewater's really scary.
Teddy Bridgewater is
Daniel Jones forcing the NFC East.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got anything else on the Russell Wilson thing, I feel like we talk about this every time, and
I mean,
other than the first week when we talked about each one, there's nothing like concrete anywhere. Like it's just
nothing concrete and nothing's happening. Like all of the news has died down. There's just nothing to add in, but you have to talk about it because it's still going on. And like you've said multiple times, this is going to be the biggest trade in NFL history. And
I was in so it's called Slack. It's a group chat kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's Reddit. I was in that with Fleury, and they were all saying they were like, and I kind of agree with them. JJ Watt, I mean, it always feels like in every sport there has to be one big name player that's in free agency that hits it to set the market. So JJ Watt said it, and I mean, I don't know. So I don't know where I was really going with that. I just talked I don't know. But JJ Watt did set that, and I mean, it was way too much money. I still can't believe they gave him $23 million guaranteed. That's crazy. Oh, you want to know a really funny story about me? So I'm an idiot, and I'm writing an article about how the Browns should sign Jadeveon Clowney. And I'm searching because I saw it pop up. I was searching something else, and it popped up that Adam Schefter had stopped by ESPN Cleveland 850 to say this stuff. And I posted it all. I was like, this is a good article. I'm going to get some good views on this. And the guy from the other side, he messaged me. He's like, you know that quote was from last year, right? And I went back and looked at it. I was like, because he was like, did Adam Schefter visit with them again this year, or was that from last year? I looked at it. I was like, fuck, man, that's last year. And so I just scrapped the whole thing.
That's terrible.
It did, well, like I said, it didn't take very long, but I just felt like an idiot. I was like, I kept looking for it. I was like, this has to be happening this year, but no, I messed that up. I messed that up. And also the title of the podcast is that I'm hot. After this afternoon, I am officially not hot. So all of my picks, I want you all to fade me. If you want to follow me, follow me. But
there you go.
Still in the NFL, unless you got anything else in those two situations, I'm just going to move on so we can get through everything.
JJ Watt. Are we talking about JJ Watt yet?
Well, I mean, what do you want to talk about with JJ Watt?
Well, firstly, oh God, I had it. He texted. Yeah, look at that guy.
Unbelievable.
He texted Kyler Murray. I saw that.
Dude, his pecs look really small there. He's not very strong. I see no definition right there.
He's wearing
also when like if you're gonna do that, I just noticed this. If you're gonna do that and you want someone to buy, I mean, you have enough money, man. You don't have to buy the Fanatics brand Raglan 3/4 baseball shirt. Just get a Nike shirt. About it? Oh yeah, he had one of his brother's friends or whatever. Guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was so worried that like the person that was packaging his order would see his name on it and was like putting two to two together. So he had his friend use his credit card to buy it to ship it to their house so that he drove it over so that it could be a big surprise for everyone. But anyway, what I was going to bring up was that after he signed the deal officially, he texted Kyler Murray saying something along the lines of like, "I believe in you, and that's why I came here."
I love Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is my
favorite player.
He's my favorite player. And Chase Young's my favorite defensive player. But we've said it before. Kyler, I mean, he's going to be really, really good for the next 3 to 4 years. But the way he plays the game isn't going to translate in his 30s, in his early 30s and late 20s, as well as a Deshaun Watson will translate. And like, I love Kyler, but I mean, I still want them. I still really want them to sign. Honestly, if they sign Will Fuller, I might check off the Browns next year and just be a Cardinals fan.
Just be a card. Hey, they could be your NFC team to root for.
Oh, they were. I mean, they were this year. But going back to J.J. Watt, like the more I've looked at it and the more I've heard about it, I think the main reason he did it, obviously, A, money, and B, I guess it's a good spot for him and his wife. Which
I guess
which makes sense. I mean, if I think they got married like 2 years ago. Like if you're young, like married people, like she plays professional soccer in the women's league.
Yep.
So I guess Arizona was just a better spot for him and his wife. Which honestly, if he wouldn't have gotten paid $23 million guaranteed and just chose Arizona for like a regular contract, I would have been like, you know what? I'm cool with that. That's fine. You're going to ride out your days. You have a pretty good team. There's a chance they'll make up there. I mean, they're going to be playoff contenders for the next couple of years, and you're going to go out like happily living with your wife in Arizona. But the $23 million is, yeah. I mean, the $23 million is just it's crazy. I mean, I cannot believe that. But
anyway, that was the last I had on J.J. Watt. Time to play the TikTok.
Oh yeah, the TikTok. Where is it? Where is it?
now that we're done with J.J. Watt,
I have to share my screen. Hold on. I have to share my screen. I have to share my screen. Yes.
I'm so ready.
All right. No.
What happened?
There we go.
All right. That one. Yep. I can't hear the audio.
You can't hear it?
I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll move on. I'll play it off my phone. That's fine.
That's upsetting.
Randy tried to show because I wasn't like Randy tried to show me something and I don't know. He said he could do it like that. I don't know. Whatever. But we'll get to it. And we may not have any more videos though. I'm sorry about that.
You're good, homie. It's so sad though. That's a great TikTok.
I do. I think for anyone that wants to know, it's his TikTok is at WYATTZWORLD Wyatt's World. He's got a couple of them on there. Definitely check him out. Maybe if I get it up, I'll play it as we end. But I thought when you originally said the thing I sent you, I thought it was that picture, but then I found the TikTok. So that's fine. Whatever. So
Anywho.
That's it for JJ Watt, and that's not it for NFL. Ex-Browns and this dude's messed up. Jeez, what's wrong with
he was a Jet too. He played all over the place.
What's wrong with these tight ends that just want to kill people? Ex-Browns and Miami Hurricanes tight end Kellen Winslow II gets a 14-year jail sentence for sexual assaults and rape. Good, throw him away.
He was.
He was always a bad dude. He was good, but I never liked him. I mean, he ruined his career after he rode his motorcycle in like a parking lot. Right. So it was.
He's not his father though. His father was.
The father was very good.
Insane.
For the Chargers, especially. Was it the Chargers or the Rams?
It was the Chargers because
I thought so.
there was the one game he had, where he was like literally would go out for just fourth downs and then go to the sideline and be like carried off by his people and get put on the oxygen tank, and then they'd go 3 and out, or not even 3 and out. They'd go three downs without gaining any yards, and he'd hobble back out there with his one leg. He's like limping out there, and then would go and catch it and get their first down and do the same thing again. Yeah, absolutely insane. One of the craziest stat lines in NFL history and one of the greatest games, I think.
One of the best tight ends. I mean,
yeah.
I'll bring that up. Who are your top 3 tight ends of all time? And you can include a guy like George Kittle, who you think will eventually be top 3 of all time. Because I'm pretty set on mine, I think.
I think number 1 is always and forever going to be Tony Gonzalez. I mean, it's really hard to argue. You disagree? Are you saying Kittle could go down as the best? Is that why?
Who? No.
Kittle or Kelsey?
I think it's Gronk easily.
I was going to go Gronk at 2.
Yeah, and I agree. Well, I think it's
you
Gronk.
flipped them, but yeah,
I think it's Gronk, Kelsey, and then I will say Kittle will probably make it there. But right now, as of all time, I'll say Gonzalez, obviously, because the fact is the tight end position has changed so much in the NFL, so it's tough.
Yeah, I would have Kelsey as my 3, Gronk as 2, and Gonzalez as 1. But
I feel that. Stand up for a second. Stand up for a second. Stand up.
Why?
Who is that? Who's 55?
That's just the year that Butler was founded. It was 1855. We have the Butler War song on the back of the shirt.
Oh, I thought it was a jersey. Dang it!
No.
About it. I was thinking about it. That guy from last episode, the guy who set the pick was number 50 something. So I'll find it.
All right. Yeah. No, this is just the shirt that they gave us.
We will Raiders GM Mike Mayock endorses Derek Carr and calls him one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. What?
I forgot about the other 2 news copies.
I mean, Mike Mayock, the fact that he's basically John Gruden's puppet. But Derek Carr, I don't know. That's a tough question. I guess he's top 16.
Yeah, I'd say he's top half of the league, not nearly top 12, but he's up there. He's better than Sam Darnold.
And I will say this about Derek Carr. He's never had a really good group of skill position players around him. I mean, the best player he's had is why can't I think of his name?
Darren Waller.
They have him now. Who?
Darren Waller.
They have Waller, but who's the running back they have?
Darren Waller is the tight end, and they have Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't really there for the McFadden days.
And the Raiders. They just draft fast players. Like Henry Ruggs will score a good amount of touchdowns in his career as long as he doesn't get hurt. But he's not that great of a. He just runs fast. And he's
they got Tyreek Jr. light or Tyreek Hill Jr. light. Like he's not even Tyreek Hill Jr. It's Junior light because Tyreek Hill Jr. is Mecole Hardman.
Okay.
Like he's not even as good. I don't think he's as good as Mecole Hardman right now.
It's tough to say because it's a very different situation. I think Mecole Hardman would have roughly the same stats as Henry Ruggs if he played for
fair enough. I'll give you that.
The Raiders, but I understand. It feels like every player on the Raiders, it's like their offense is so inflated because they're just so good.
Well, and Mayock has not made a good pick since he's been there. Think about the first
Josh
draft.
Jacobs wasn't terrible.
He wasn't, but like
he was picked too early.
They picked him in the 2nd round, right? Or was he a first?
No, it was late. It was late first.
20.
That was when they had 3 first-round picks, I believe. They took Farrell, someone else, and
Damon Arnett. Arnett.
That was this past year.
I'm listing off all the bad picks they have. They're all terrible.
This past year, they drafted Ruggs and Damon Arnett in the 1st round, which was very dumb by them for drafting Damon. Damon Arnett was nowhere near a top 32 player.
He was projected to go day 3, and they took him 20.
It's unbelievable.
Just
Some football news on the pitch. Manchester United have been held to their 3rd straight draw today. Huge Manchester derby on Sunday. I know you don't care about soccer, but I am very fed up with United. I understand why people think soccer is boring, and I will openly say that if you watch the last 3 United games, it has been very, very boring. But they have a big match on Sunday against Manchester City, the Manchester derby. There'll probably be stabbings and stuff, so prepare for that news. That'll be fun.
I got a little news that just came out here a minute ago. The Giants have reportedly cut Golden Tate. Wide receiver signed a deal a year or 2 ago for like $32 million over 4 years. He obviously
he played for the
Lions, Eagles, and
he played. Didn't he play for the Eagles when they won the Super? No.
No. He was there 2 years ago.
Where'd Tate go to school?
Where'd Golden Tate go to school? I don't know.
That's one going on there. All righty.
What? Oh, that's bullshit. Now I'm just gonna look it up and be like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he went to Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure.
Did he?
Because I always like with the Golden Dome and Notre Dame.
Did. Look at you.
So that's interesting. Like I said, I think we're going to have a lot of news on Monday about cut players. I think the Browns could very well cut Sheldon Richardson. I also wouldn't be surprised if they cut one of their receivers or didn't. I mean, I would. There's only one thing they can do this offseason that would really, really, really piss me off. The Browns I'm talking about is not re-sign Rashard Higgins. I would be very angry if they didn't re-sign.
I hope they do. He's on my dynasty team.
I mean, he was basically nothing under Freddie Kitchens because Freddie Kitchens sucked, and when he finally got playing time this year, he was like
he played well, bro. That's what I've been saying.
Baker's
that's
favorite target. He's Baker's favorite target.
I took him, bro. I see he like not only is he Baker's favorite target, but like he fits that offense so well.
Well, because
he just didn't get time.
He can play the slot and he can play outside. Like
yeah.
I mean, he's perfect. I love Hollywood Higgins.
He could be whatever Jarvis Landry is not being for the game plan.
And honestly, if I'm the Browns, I'm going to pay him a little extra because the only reason – I mean, he was a huge factor in them making the playoffs, especially the late push to make the playoffs.
Yeah, he had some great games.
Basically, they owe him because Baker Mayfield talked to Higgins last spring because he was a free agent last spring, and he convinced him to stay. He played for $910,000. That's a little bit more than like a practice squad. Well, that's not a little bit more, but practice squad
he played for basically nothing.
Yeah, so they need to pay him, and they need to do it soon because he will actually draw interest outside.
Hell, I would love him on the Jets, and I've been watching him. That's like I said, I have him on my dynasty team. By the way, my dynasty team, I don't know if I've told you about it. It's offense and defense, and there's like 40 players. It's honestly horrible. I hate it so much, but I had to go and take deep dives into guys like Higgins. He's a great player, just like Kiki Cutesy, another guy on the Texans that they should really be looking to keep. And I'm sure they'd be willing to trade if someone wanted them. But
dude, you know how I actually am now looking back and thinking about it. If the Cardinals do sign Will Fuller, I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
As long as they can hold on to some of their pieces, because you got to look at that. I mean, even if it's not Kenyon Drake, it's Chase Edmonds, Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. Their line is okay, and even so, Kyler Murray built to move it around. And then your 3 receivers are Hopkins, who's probably still the best in the game right now. Debatably, I mean, he's still top 5 at least.
Top three.
Christian Kirk, who plays slot or deep ball, and Will Fuller. I mean, then you add a tight end, like a decent tight end to that.
Oh,
I mean,
Dan Arnold is not a bad tight end. He's a great pass catching tight end. They have Dan Arnold.
That's I mean, and they, I mean, I would hope that this year they finally start playing Simmons as a more in the box player.
I want him to have a definitive position and actually see playing time. That pissed me off so much because when's the last time you've seen someone take a defensive stud like Simmons and not play him? And not only did you take him, you took him 8 overall and like barely played him.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't see it ever.
He was taken earlier than who's the strong safety for Chargers? Derwin James. I mean, he should be playing the exact role that Derwin James is playing, but he should actually probably end up being better because he's better in coverage and he is bigger and faster. So, yeah, I would love to see him play, but Cliff Kingsbury is going to do whatever he wants, so I don't know. We never really talked about Tiger Woods on Monday. Do we think anything bad happened? I know the sheriff today got a warrant for his black box. I didn't know cars had black boxes. I just know that planes did because when that Indonesian plane went down, they couldn't find it. Still, that was when I was running one of my, like, every year or so I would do my own WordPress blog, and I covered that. Like I was deep into conspiracy theories about what happened. It was fun. I enjoyed writing about that probably more than a lot of things I write about. But so I mean, I don't think anything's bad. I hope it doesn't come back that he was like drunk or on drugs.
The sheriff said that he wasn't drunk. I remember seeing a report about that.
Yeah, but I mean, you never know what was in his system. I'm sure they drug tested him, but whatever. And I think he should finish out this year, play a couple tournaments next year, and just retire. Because at this point, he's so hurt and so injured. He's never going to catch Jack. In my opinion, he's never going to catch Jack. And so, I mean, he'll still go down as probably the second greatest golfer. He might even go down as the best golfer in the history of golf. He ran into injuries. It sucks. I mean.
Well, not only injuries, but like his father dying really messed him up and threw him off his game for a chunk of years, and then the injuries and then the
injuries and the divorce and
so he fell apart after his father died, and it's really a shame because I think he would have gone down as the best in golf history.
I still think he might. I still think like guys like my age and even guys like your age, I think they'll say no, you guys your age probably won't because he hasn't been very good since 2000.
Yeah, but like when I was growing up, he was golfing.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Golf, and that might be why he goes down as the best in history because of what he brought to the game. Literally, no one tuned into golf, and then Tiger Woods showed up, and everyone's tuning into golf.
Like last year, I don't really watch golf that much. Yeah, the Masters last year when Tiger won, or I don't know if it was the year before, maybe. I watched that whole fourth round on Sunday. I did not move from my couch. I watched that whole fourth round and watch him win. But like I said, I think he should retire. He's done enough. His kid, I don't know if you've seen his kid.
His kid looks like he's going to be
his kid is going to be better than him. I mean, they put like they were on the practice tees and they were not the practice, the driving range, and they put their swings like next to each other,
side by side.
It's the same thing. Yeah,
and the kid's like 8 or 9 or something like that. Like he's really super young.
Hopefully, I think Tiger will have learned, and he won't train him like a Navy SEAL like Tiger decided to train like. But and just as a fact, golf was more fun when Tiger played. I watched golf when Tiger played, so it sucks that he's going to go down like this. But it was. I'll remember golf when I'm older, and I'll just remember Tiger Woods for the most part. So, all right, we'll get into some college hoops before we get into our AFC North free agency. So a lot happened since since last weekend, really, but even since last Monday. Gonzaga is now the only undefeated team left, and I'll ask this hypothetical question to you. It's in here. If you had to bet Gonzaga, Michigan, or Baylor versus the field, who would you?
So are you saying like pick one of those or the field?
Yeah, like you can pick one. No, pick one of those teams.
Yeah.
Or the other 63, basically.
Right.
I'm just saying Michigan, Baylor, and Gonzaga because I think they're the best. But
I do too. I don't know how you go against the Zags here.
I don't know either.
I don't know how you can say they're not going to be the one to win.
The only thing that might trip them up this year is the West Coast Conference has been like actually really bad. Like St. Mary's is usually at least all right. So they played nobody. They haven't played anybody good since probably early winter. When they, and I'll give them credit. They did go out and they scheduled a game with Baylor. They scheduled a lot of games. Unfortunately, the Baylor one got postponed. But yeah, if I would take Gonzaga over the field right now, I think.
Yeah, I just don't see how. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously over the weekend Baylor lost to Kansas. Kansas is good again. They're probably gonna make the tournament. Kansas is good enough of a team right now that I think they could win the tournament as well too if they get on a roll. So I think it's going to be an insane March, and I'm so much looking forward to it. I put yesterday. I don't know if you watched it all, but it was heaven. It was 5:00 was Baylor, West Virginia, and 7:00 was Michigan, Illinois. I didn't watch Baylor, West Virginia, but I played a parlay on both of them, and I was lucky because I took Illinois outright first, which was crazy odds, and then, of course, I took West Virginia plus 5. No, it was plus 4, and they lost by 5. So that parlay failed. I was very angry. And then, like I said, Michigan got rolled yesterday by it.
Yeah, that was ugly.
Illinois was without Ayo Dosamino, their best player. So I think people need to take a little bit of a pause on Michigan and let's take a couple steps back. They played a really good season so far, but let's take a couple steps back and they're not better than Gonzaga. They're not better than Gonzaga.
The same thing we said when Baylor lost to Kansas, but now Kansas has gone on a roll. So you're like, oh, they're just getting hot or whatever. And, Baylor, you could look at it and say Baylor only won by 5 points to West Virginia. West Virginia is still a very good team. Kansas is going on a roll. Like you said, they could go deep in the tournament. But this is Illinois we're talking about. This is not this dominating team. I know Illinois is having a decent season, a pretty good season, some would even say. But,
it's a
Michigan.
Really good season. They're ranked number 4.
I mixed them up with someone else then.
It's fine. But basically the Big Ten tree, the quad of Iowa, Ohio State, Michigan, and Illinois, at all times, they're like all somewhere inside the top 15.
Yeah, I think I mixed up them with another team. So apologies. Illinois, right. Illini. Yeah, so I get it's a good team, but they're without their best player.
And they got rolled.
And you got it was literally 15 to 20 points. 15 to 20 points at home. I get having a bad game, but having a bad game versus a team without their best player and getting rolled like that is very different than having a bad game and just on an off day. It's not really the same. So if I'm Michigan, it's back to the drawing board, back to practice, do the suicides or whatever. But you gotta figure this out because it's a bad time to hit a slump.
Yeah, and I didn't write this down, but this is a topic I wanted to bring up. So obviously we know most some of them are allowing them in now, students and stuff a little bit. Well, North Carolina played last week versus Florida State, and I think they had 40 or 50% capacity, and they were all students, and they were actually a big reason why North Carolina upset Florida State. So I hope this week players and in conference tournaments, the big name players and the big name teams can get used because it's got to be a little bit weird going from playing into an empty gym versus in Indiana where there's going to be at least 50% capacity. So I hope they get used to it next week. But we're looking at, it's going to be a great March, and I'm hoping it's going to, conference championship starts next week, which is a great talking point to our next topic. Who do we think is going to win the Big Five tournaments? I will let you go first. ACC.
You take head on this while I just pull up everything, because I had it open, but then when the Golden Tate news came out, I lost it. So why don't you head it very quickly?
Yeah, I'm pretty honest. I think North Carolina will win. They do well. I think North Carolina or Duke will win. I would be mad if Duke wins. I'll be happy if UNC wins. But they both play really well in the tournament. Virginia has struggled as of late. Virginia Tech has struggled as of late. And who's the other team that's struggled as of late? Florida State has been up and down. So, I think we could see the same thing in the Big 12, where I might even say this. I might make a hot take right now and say I'm going to parlay the 3 conference championships: North Carolina, Kentucky, and Kansas to win their conference tournaments. That would that'd be
insane, bro.
So those are my picks for the Big 12, the ACC, and the other one. I don't know. The ACC, Big 12, and SEC. So I forgot about the SEC.
I don't know. The one team that you didn't really mention that I kind of would consider, again, and I agree with you on a lot of stuff. I don't know if I would count out Florida State because they're having a very, very solid season. But the one dark horse team that I was really having my eye on in the ACC was Clemson, because Clemson's won 5 in a row now. They're 15-5. They're having a pretty solid season. I don't know. I have a feeling like they could be competitive and a team that gets overlooked. Same thing with Georgia Tech, but on a much lesser scale, because Georgia Tech is Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. Clemson's got, I believe, either 3 or 4 4-star prospects starting in their starting 5. So I like that pick a lot. They've had a great season they've had a good season, but they've had a great season in the fact that I think they've beaten North Carolina and Duke each once, at least, if not twice each, which is huge. So honestly, I'm cheering for Clemson basketball, because that could possibly mean the downfall of Dabo Swinney. And my goal one day is that Dabo Swinney will be fired and he will have no one that likes him. And I will, at that point in my life, have a full-time job, and I will call him and tell him, hey, man, you can work for me for $1 a day being my assistant. And that'll be his only one offer in the world, and he'll take it, and he'll be my slave for a little bit.
Love that.
I just don't like that.
Anyway,
I don't like Dabo Swinney. No, but that is huge for Clemson now, because it makes sense. Like, a lot of the big name, even Alabama now too, they're good now in basketball too. Like, they're finally kind of evening out a little bit.
Yeah, it's not just one school. So I like Clemson for that. Did you give your Big 12?
Kansas.
You said Kansas? I don't know, dude. I know this is not really flashy, but I think Baylor will find a way to bounce back.
The only reason I'm picking Kansas is because I'm parlaying all 3 of those. I'm parlaying 3 blue bloods. No, I think Baylor has a great shot to win.
Baylor, I think, is the front runner, and if I had to choose a dark horse, this is going to be not a hot take, but definitely like a warmish take. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma State somehow found a way to
say that. I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know, bro. Like,
you love Cade Cunningham. No, I agree. He's good enough where he could carry. I don't know if he's good enough where he can carry the team through like 4 games in the Big 12 tournament, but he's good enough to if they get once they get in the tournament, I think he's a Carmelo Anthony type player that could lead.
Or John Morant, like we saw a year ago or 2 years ago with
but he got John Morant they got crushed in the second round.
Yeah, but like I don't really expect Oklahoma State to go more than a round or 2. Do you think that they could go all the way like Carmelo Anthony did? I don't.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think Cade Cunningham is probably a better player than Carmelo Anthony was when he was at Syracuse his freshman year. Like I said, he's good enough where I could see him winning. I could see Oklahoma State winning 2 or 3 games just on his back. I mean, Purdue did it 2 years ago almost on the back of that point guard who was just shooting from 56 feet every time.
Purdue.
Can't remember his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Carson Edwards.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Who spells his name with an E-N? Carson. I don't like that.
Carson.
But yeah. So let's move to your Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Or not Big Ten, Big East, sorry.
Oh, okay. Just a side note, after upsetting Villanova during the weekend, Butler then went and upset number 25 DePaul in their next game. So that's 2 times in a row now we've beaten ranked teams, but they're not winning the division.
That's good. Good. Did you know a fun fact about DePaul?
Sure.
When I went to college in 2011, it was far and away the college that had the most STDs.
Huh. Wait, no, DePaul. Wait, what?
I swear to God. Yes, they have more students at DePaul had to go they were officially at STDs. Yes.
Wait, did they play? I think this app's wrong because I don't think DePaul's ranked because they suck. So it must have been someone else.
I don't think DePaul is either. I know they play tonight, I think, don't they? No, they play.
No, they're garbage. We beat someone else though. I thought we just beat another one. Maybe I was looking at an anniversary. I don't even know. I saw something on my school basketball's page, and I thought it was new. I guess like I said, I've been working on this paper for 3 days now in a row, nonstop. So I haven't really kept up with the basketball world because I was busy. But yeah, we knocked off Villanova in our previous game, but we're not winning that. Obviously, Nova's the favorite, but I never count out Creighton because Creighton is a very, very, very good team.
Wait. Say it again.
Creighton.
You're saying it wrong.
Creighton. Fine. Creighton.
It's like crayon except for Creighton.
Okay, well, Creighton. I'm so tired. Anyway,
you're gonna hate me in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks?
I mean, if you hate me, I mean, honestly, if we both hate each other, we'd get more views. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it would be like Skip and Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, we just go back and forth on everything, but unfortunately we do agree on a lot of sports things where it would be hard to argue. We just so you know, we do have to kind of pick this up so we can get to the AFC North because I know Zero Tech is recording tonight at 8:30, and they usually get out around 8:15.
All right. Anyway, UConn is also a dark horse for that, but I don't really see Villanova losing the conference.
Is he still who's the coach of UConn? Is it still him? Not Calhoun, the guy after Calhoun.
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's Dan Hurley now. It used to be Kevin Ollie. That's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Dan Hurley now, who is going to be a really, really good coach, I think, but is also a psychopath.
All right. And what are you thinking for the Big East there?
Big East?
And then we can move on.
It's hard for me. I'm going Creighton. I'm going to add that to my parlay. I'm just going to do all teams with blue in a 6-team parlay.
Blue. Nova has blue too.
Creighton's ranked 14th.
And what's Nova?
10.
Okay. I don't really see a difference, but do whatever you want. Nova usually plays well in the conference tournament. That's all I'm saying.
If you look at the other 3, they're not the favorite to win the tournament. North Carolina's not the favorite. Kentucky's not the favorite. Kansas isn't the favorite, and neither is Creighton. And then in the Pac-12, I'm going UCLA. And then
UCLA is the favorite,
Big
though.
Big Ten. Michigan. That's
You could go
7.
Penn State. They're 5-12, but they have blue.
What about Northwestern? How's Northwestern?
Northwestern is 4-13, even worse
Okay.
than Penn State.
Um,
Iowa has yellow and black. Michigan's the favorite.
I'll go with Ohio State from the Big Ten. I will be locking. That will be my parlay for conference championships. Lock it in. I'll let you know what the odds are.
All right. So let me know how that goes. Anyway.
If I'm right on this,
he's going all blue.
We're going to go viral. So you better be cheering for me.
I'm always cheering for you.
That sounded sarcastic, asshole.
Always. No, never.
Okay.
Always cheer for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can move on.
Yeah, Creighton plays at Villanova tonight. Nova's -4.5. Who do you got?
Creighton.
I got Creighton too.
Creighton. Well, but just because of the points. If it was straight up, I'd go Nova.
I agree. I also think it's Nova. Once they hit the tournament, they have a very good chance to win it all.
They always have a switch that they flick on.
Yeah, and because I mean they were like dormant for like a whole month this year because of that. So unfortunately, I don't like Villanova. The biggest shot in Villanova history. Literally, I cried as a 25-year-old, and it was horrible. And my roommate was a Villanova fan. It was so bad.
Oh, that's the worst, bro.
Oh, it was horrible because he was like so excited, and I was obviously. I remember. I just laid on my back in our living room like this, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Dude, you know what? I'm just gonna go into my room. I'm gonna take a shower. You just keep on celebrating because that was awesome and you deserve it. But my heart can't take this right now."
Yeah, like get it all out of your system by the time.
Congratulations, that's great. But yeah,
when I'm done with my shower, it better not be going on soon.
Or I'm breaking all the windows, and we will have to pay a lot of money for this apartment. Yeah. So that was interesting. But like I said, I think Villanova, they do it every year, like you said. They're going to come. I mean, they're going to be clicking at just the exact right time.
Of course,
it seems like. Usual. So, yeah. And then, do I have anything else? The weekend parlay. Yeah, my weekend parlay, but I really don't care about that. I've already made my hot. Hey,
you're picking Butler. Let's go.
I did. Yeah.
Let's go.
I think they play somebody. Yeah, so I'll take you. But yeah, I mean, I'm locked in on my conference championship parlay, all blue teams, but Ohio State. So let's move on to what we really need to talk about today. AFC North free agency.
Right.
So let's just this is my division, so I'll start out. We'll obviously do Cleveland last. Do you have a preference who we do first?
No.
Okay, then I will start with I'll just go on the line from historically best to worst. For Pittsburgh, they're in a tough situation. I mean, I think we know that and I think I don't know why I get off topic like this so much, and Drew Brees is in the same situation with the Saints, where if either one of those players want to come back next year, you can't say no to them.
Right.
But like you need to somehow move forward. So I think the Steelers actually need a decent amount of stuff. They need to redo their offensive line. Hayward is getting older. Their only really young defensive stud is TJ Watt. Bud Dupree's leaving. So they need to redo their defensive line. And then, like I said, they need a quarterback. And they could really – I mean, James Conner was a good story for a while, but they need a real running back in the NFL. I mean, they had the worst rushing attack last year, so they need a running back.
Right. So then who did you have them –
okay. We'll go straight to that.
We'll do it like that.
Yeah, cool. I like that. Honestly, I don't really have a running back for them because I don't – like I feel like you could kind of just pick someone up and it'll end up being okay. I think what would make – if Ben came back and what would make Pittsburgh very scary to me, and if they re-signed Juju – if Corey Davis went there, they would have probably one of the best group of receivers in the NFL. With Claypool, Smith-Schuster, and Davis. And then they also need to fill in a cornerback. Joe Hayden's getting old, and Cameron Sutton isn't really the guy they once thought he was when they drafted him. So I could see William Jackson flipping teams in the AFC North and going to Pittsburgh. I think that would be a huge signing for them. But yeah, so shoot me Pittsburgh.
I felt their biggest need was running back, which you kind of already touched on. James Conner just shows that he's not the guy, and you can't be running Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland and the like. So you need at least some type of running back, a long-term quarterback.
I'm thinking about right now if the Cardinals don't hang on to Kenyon Drake, that would be a very nice spot for him to go because he can catch out of the backfield too, and Ben loves that.
Yeah, so I was looking at Drake there because he's other than Aaron Jones, like he's one of the top guys that I would look for because I think he has a lot of potential and is still relatively young. The only problem with that is the Steelers are currently $8 million in the hole underneath the cap. So unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to get Kenyon Drake because even though he hasn't had the greatest 2 seasons, he's still good enough to demand more money than the other 2 guys that I chose for their running back fix, which I'll get to in a minute. But again, everything changes if Ben restructures his contract or retires because that saves them $42 million, putting them up to $36 million above the cap, which would open up options where you could go after an Aaron Jones. But
and like I said, Pittsburgh's in a tough spot because, I mean, like I said, you can't say no to Ben, and if he wants to keep his money, you really can't say no to that either.
Yeah, but he's come out and said that he's going to try and rework it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, if they could restructure his deal to get, I don't know. I mean, you said his cap hits 42 right now.
Yeah, 40.
So I mean, if they could get his down to, I mean, below that, I mean, they could be in guys like Drake, Peterson. I think would be a good pickup for them. But I mean, you were talking, so go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I get carried away.
Then you're good. You're good. Like I said, running backs, I'll get to in a minute. They need a long-term quarterback, or if Ben retires, they need a short-term quarterback just to get a bridge to whoever they're going to use as the long-term. And then you already touched on it. The interior O-line is the biggest spot for me where Ben got pushed a lot, and he's not really mobile. So if you're looking for running back fixes that are cheap, because like I said, they're $8 million under, Mark Ingram would be very interesting in that system because he can run and he can catch. But if you're looking for an even cheaper guy than that, and Mark Ingram's getting a little old, so he's already going to be at a discounted price than what he would be.
I think he's going to be 31 next year. But
something like that, yeah. But if you're looking for a younger guy that you can extend for a longer period of time that might cost you a little more money, Tevin Coleman would be absolutely filthy in that system. And then the other 2 quarterbacks, or I had 2 quarterbacks as the other perfect free agent signing. Again, a long-term and a short-term. The long-term fix could be Jacoby Brissett. I think that he could run that offense with the Steelers pretty well. And like I said, we're talking just free agency, so I can't put a Sam Darnold there. And if you're looking for a short-term guy, put Andy Dalton in that system, and I think he'll be relatively decent. And because so
it's the AFC North, he's familiar with it too. I agree.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think a great signing if they just said Ben decided to retire. A great signing would once again be, who do you think? My boy Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I was like, what is he watching?
I really want Fitzpatrick to win 1 Super Bowl. I do
too. I think the Steelers would be a great landing spot for him. Honestly, bro, I was saying it all throughout the season, and people were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is fine. I hated the fact that Miami used him as a relief pitcher for Tua because it was very obvious that he was the best quarterback on the team.
Yeah.
He was the best quarterback on the team. He had the best chance to win with him, but they wanted to let Tua play because it's Tua. You either need to commit to growing Tua Tagovailoa, or you need to play the best available quarterback and win now. And Brian Flores, as much as I like the guy and as much as I like him as a coach, he was trying to have it both ways, and you can't do that.
See, I think a lot of teams. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really hope that Fitzpatrick goes somewhere where he can win and just show it to the world.
I feel like a lot of these younger teams like Miami, Jacksonville. I promise it's not just Florida teams. But they're making a turning point in their franchise this year where like we don't know what Miami's plans for the future is, but it is one of the teams that we will definitively know what they're thinking of their future after the draft.
Yep.
So
agreed.
So maybe not after the draft, but before spring training, not spring training, before camp, we should know what their plans are.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
And I did want to say this. To me, it's always been weird, but they're like running back's always been weird in the NFL to me. But I feel like you have your top tier guys like Dalvin Cook, McCaffrey, Chubb, Kamara, those guys, Saquon Barkley, if you can ever find the field. And those guys are worth the money. They're that top notch. And then I have and then down here almost is like I think Eckler's a little bit closer to the top group than this group, but I think Drake's closer to is it really worth it to sign him? Because you can find, I mean, we've seen it in the draft. I mean, the Rams drafted Cam Akers and he was
productive as hell.
The running back position is always going to be weird, and I'm going to have to probably tape my mouth shut when it comes to Nick Chubb and the Browns and what they're going to do, because I really want to keep him, but I also don't believe in signing running backs like that. But Chubb could prove me wrong, I guess. And I think
if anyone's going to prove you wrong and it's going to show you it's worth the money, it's going to be a guy like Chubb, because he can do everything and he does have the physical needs to succeed. I think Chubb's a better running back than Derrick Henry overall, because Derrick Henry's a better pure rusher because he's bigger and has the strength, but Chubb can do a little bit of everything and still has a decent to good amount of strength. So if anyone could prove you wrong, I would think it would be Nick Chubb.
Oddly enough, when I was looking through the PFF numbers and what I wanted the Browns to do this offseason, I promise I don't go strictly off PFF, but who do you think were the two best backs in the league at pass blocking?
At pass blocking?
Sticking in the pocket, blocking.
I don't even know. That's not a stat that I look into.
It was – so obviously the Browns offensive line was voted the best this year, and hopefully going forward it is the best. But a little known fact is the two best pass blocking backs in the NFL this year by a wide margin was Nick Chubb and Andy Janovich, our fullback. Yeah, it was Nick Chubb and Andy Janovich, and Kareem Hunt was down there at 10th. So, yeah, I mean – but once we get to that point where we have to extend Chubb, it needs to be a 3-year deal where we're this is our Super Bowl window right now, because after he's 27, 28, we're not going to give him that money. So I in my opinion, you have to just set it like that. And I think this year is actually a really good year. I mean, if they don't extend Baker, whatever, but I need to get off the Browns. We can get back to him in a little bit, but I'm going to go with Baltimore. That's cool with you?
Baltimore, yep.
All right. So Baltimore, it's weird. Baltimore's weird to me. I think the position of need most for them is wide receiver. But I highly doubt they're going to value that in either free agency or the draft, which is weird, but I don't think they'll value it. So I also they need an edge rusher, and they could use some help on the O-line, especially at the center position.
I absolutely despise you.
Why?
My three needs are a wide receiver 1, an interior O lineman, and an edge.
I mean, I told you we agree on some things. Obviously, I don't think the Browns have enough pull to sway Justin Simmons away from Denver. I do think Baltimore would. So if the Broncos don't sign Simmons, which all things are pointing towards they are going to sign him to a record deal for a safety. But I think Baltimore would be a great spot for him. I mean, not Ed Reed. Eric Waddle had a good close to his career there, and Earl Thomas was okay there. So if they could actually get a young free safety, I mean, that takes them over the top. But like I said, I think their biggest need is wide receiver. I don't know why they don't think about it. So any of the receivers, really. I like Kendrick Bourne. I like Corey Davis. And then at the center position, David Andrews from Georgia is set to be a free agent this year.
Right.
And obviously, I will always go to you. I don't know about the cap.
I'm gonna get into it.
Really, so
don't
you're
worry.
my guy about you're my guy about the cap. So
Don't
that's
worry
why I love
about
you
that.
on because you got the cap covered. So, but
Yeah,
like I said,
so-
those would be my picks.
Right. So when I was looking at it, like I said, I already read you my list of wide receiver 1, interior lineman, and edge.
They could use a wide receiver 1 and 2.
I think Marquise Brown, if he didn't
I like
have
him,
to be
but-
the 1, could be a good 2.
I think
he's a deep.
better in the.
He's a deep.
I think he's
threat
better
ball.
in the slot. I think he's better in the slot. I think he'd
But then
be
have him be a
weapon in
2 out of the slot, kind of like what Crowder's
that's
a 1
fine.
out of the slot. So like
Yeah, that's fine.
that's what I'm looking at. If you want to keep Willie Snead as being the outside guy as your 3, like fine by me. But you need a true
I think
1.
they should move Marquise Brown inside the slot and outside sometimes. I just think with an RPO with basically with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson with Marquise Brown on the inside just running a slant. I mean, if they run to it, just pop it over. I mean, that's a 99-yard touchdown every time. So we'll go on.
So going into the cap a little bit, Baltimore actually has a really good cap for where they're at. They're currently sitting at 12th in the league for most cap space.
Kidding me?
$24 million in free cap space. Now that's not nearly the $78 million that the Jets and Jags have, but like I said, they're 12th. They're almost top 10 in cap space. So because you have Lamar Jackson to extend plays and get out of the pocket, my 2 marquee free agent signings for them are not linemen because he will be able to get out of the pocket and make throws or run. So I have them addressing the other 2 needs that I have with that extra money that they have because they did, like I said, $24 million, almost 25. Will Fuller would be perfect for that team. He's like Marquise Brown, but better and can actually run more routes. And then if you get Justin Houston to replace the edge, it would be lights out on that defense because the only reason that they truly need defensive linemen is that of their front 7, they have I think it's 3 or 4 people either contract up this year or next year. So you're looking for a guy who can last you a couple of years, and Justin Houston is still one of the best edge rushers in the game, in my opinion. So if you splurge your $24 million on just those 2, I think they're going to stay competitive for the division. If not, they're going to take it from the Steelers or the Browns.
Yeah, I feel that. And I know I said Corey Davis, but I actually, now that I think about it, I don't really see him fitting there. He's
not a true 1 like that.
Yeah. Well, he's more of a possession guy to me than I mean, to me, it looks Baltimore in the future. If I were the coach, I mean, they need to be like the big play offense. They almost need to go like a kind of a Chiefs kind of offense, like the big play offense, I think, which they've done well. But like I said, they need receivers. So we're going to get through these next 2 pretty quick. So I do like to do at least 1 segment. So I will move on to the Bengals. First, I will go to you and tell me about their cap situation.
Oh, you want to hear the cap now?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do every time before every team. I'm just going to ask you about the cap situation.
So this is what I was saying with Baltimore having a lot of cap space in comparison to the rest of the league. Cincinnati currently sits 7 to Baltimore's 12, but Cincinnati has double the amount of cap space almost than the Bengals. So Cincinnati has $43 million in available cap space.
$43 million. Okay.
43 mil. They sit number 7.
Okay. So the needs I have for them, I would love for them. Okay. I'll get into it when I say fits. Okay. They need help on the O-line a little bit. Jonah Williams, who they drafted out of Alabama, is okay, but I think he's more either of an interior player, offensive lineman, or a right tackle instead of being the guy that has to protect Joe Burrow because he can't.
Because he can't. That's an understatement.
And other than Tyler Boyd, now that I rethink this, they really don't need it. They could use a slot receiver, I guess, but their receivers right now are Tyler Boyd, and Tyler Boyd plays the slot a lot too. I know that, but Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, that's a pretty good receiving duo. I also would love for them to get a tight end. And then in the secondary, they're going to need help at the edge and at the corner because I don't think William Jackson – clearly I don't think William Jackson is going to resign considering I have him as one of my top things for Pittsburgh. So,
yeah. What was I going to say? I could see them if they don't land Sewell in the draft, they could go after Jamar Chase for Joe Burrow's sake.
Yeah, so, that was exactly before, when I stopped myself. That's exactly what I was going to say. It matters a lot what they do in the draft because I think if Sewell falls to them, he'll play left tackle for them. They'll move Jonah Williams inside or to the right, and I mean that's perfect for them if you think about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, so for your wide receiver, I was just clarifying that they could do that through the draft. But so my needs for Cincinnati are offensive line.
Skill. You got to put skill position players at some point.
No, I know. They need offensive line so badly after what happened to Joe Burrow, man. I mean, you can't put him back out there with what they have. So, 3 offensive line and then cornerback and edge. Mostly cornerback because I think their defensive front is okay. It's not nearly what it should be, but they have so many holes elsewhere that they need to focus on, like maybe an offensive line. So for my perfect free agency pickups there, Trent Williams and Joe Thuney from the Patriots. Is it Joe? I think it's Joe Thuney.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you could get both of those guys, I wouldn't hesitate whatsoever with your $43 million. And then if you're looking to pick up a corner to just kind of help out Jesse Bates, that's the safety's name, just to help out Jesse Bates in the secondary, you can get 2 guys for cheap that I think would be very good veteran presences in the locker room or have a good veteran presence in the locker room and also still kind of compete in Richard Sherman or AJ Boye. Sherman's a little bit older than Boye. Boye is 30 years old. He's turning 31, I think, relatively soon. But if you could sign both Thuney and Williams and then get Boye, I think you're in a much better spot than what you obviously were this past season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it matters a lot what they do in the draft. But I think they're in a good place in the draft. I do. Because there is a chance I would say there's about 50, 60% chance that Sewell falls to them. I would actually say it's higher because if he doesn't get drafted by the Jets, who else is going to draft him in that top 5 other than the Bengals?
I mean, we talked about on one of our shows last week or the week before how if Sewell falls, Miami should take him to protect Tua.
Other than Trevor Lawrence, I think Sewell is the best prospect in this class. Miami, yes, that would then again show us that they plan to keep Tua. But like I said, it matters a lot what they do in the draft. But they're, like I said, a good spot because Sewell's gone. Recently, I prefer Devonta Smith as the best receiver in this class, and I think Kyle Pitts is the best wide receiver tight end in this entire class. I would Jamar Chase is obviously a big pull because they both went to LSU, but I think I wouldn't take Devonta Smith, but I would take Kyle Pitts before him.
I mean, I would too, but their tight end room isn't nearly as bad as you would think. CJ Uzomah was a very big part of the receiving group there.
I think in next year you could see Kyle Pitts as a wide receiver, like full on.
True.
Like wide receiver.
Yep. Fair enough. I have him as a top 10 player, so
I feel. And then we'll go to the Browns, and then we're gonna unfortunately have to be done. But the Browns, I think they obviously need linebacker help. The whole secondary needs help, and they could use a defensive line upgrade, considering that the middle of the defensive line is probably going to be an open hole here in about 2 weeks because they're going to cut Richardson, I think, and they're not going to re-sign Ogunjobi, which makes me very nervous because they were good this year. Like, I want as few changes as possible. And Kevin Stefanski did come out, and it is true. He said yesterday during his press conference that it's incredibly good and incredibly lucky that we have all of our coaches returning. Right. So I'm happy about that, but I would love to see them hold on to one of those defensive tackles, but whatever. But their biggest need to me is the secondary. It's other than Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit is going to play a huge role hopefully next year. I think that he's going to if he has a good year, I think he'll catapult himself easily up into the top 10 of the free safeties in the league just because there's so few of them. And because I think he's athletic enough to do it. He won the defensive back award and the Thorpe Award. Thorpe won the Thorpe Award as a safety, and they usually, they go to safety sometimes, but they go to corners mostly. So he's really good in coverage, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I creeped on his Instagram yesterday. He's looking big, he's looking good. So I'm ready for him. So I actually would not be. Like if they're going to go out and look for a free safety, see if you can persuade Justin Simmons. But if you can't persuade Justin Simmons, let's ride with Delpit and put our money elsewhere. So the best fits I have for them, like I said, Justin Simmons, Patrick Peterson. But I kind of rethink that because he really only is an outside corner, and so is Greedy. And you have to kind of go into next season assuming Greedy will be healthy at least at the start of the season, so they could use a slot corner way more. I know Mackenzie Alexander's out there. I don't think William Jackson would make the move here, but Peterson would be a cheap pickup, and I think he'd want to come here, considering that half of our players went to LSU anyways. And then the two recent ones I put on here because they didn't get J.J. Watt. I would love Von Miller, just not anywhere near the price that J.J. Watt was. And I don't think he'll command that. But and then Kyle Van Noy, who just got cut yesterday by the Dolphins. Right. I'm a huge. If we can sign Kyle Van Noy right now, that's who other than Rashard Higgins, I want all of our efforts into signing a veteran captain outside linebacker.
Right. So I agree with a lot of what you said. Obviously, I put your three biggest needs in no specific order. Defensive end / edge. You need some edge help. A true cornerback 2 and a coverage linebacker. So we were on the same scale there. I was looking at it from a little different perspective. You guys are right below Baltimore in cap space because Baltimore has $24 million free. You guys have around 20, so not that big of a difference. But I took the time to kind of break down a little bit more of my thinking and trying to fill all three positions in a budget of your $20 million or whatever it is.
So what three positions? Corner, free safety, and edge?
No, I don't have free safety as a problem.
So you have corner, edge,
and coverage linebacker.
Edge, coverage linebacker.
Edge, corner,
I'll do the
and
same thing as you after you give yours.
Right. So I have two cheap options. One of them is more of a long-term move where you're going to pay a little bit more for him. Or another one is obviously a little more of a risk, and you're going to understand why. Jadeveon Clowney is a risk, but he's 28 years old, hasn't really played healthy, but he's not going to demand a huge salary. So he's 28, still relatively young. You can use it.
According to me, the Browns have already offered him the most money this offseason, so he's just balking at Cleveland.
Right. And then another guy that I think people have kind of forgot about, and I don't really know why, is Yannick Ngakoue. The guy's 26 years old. 26 and on the free agent market, and he's a beast off the edge. He's going to demand a little bit more money than Jadeveon Clowney, but if you guys could snag him up, him and Myles Garrett would be like what Yannick Ngakoue was on the Jaguars. It would be Saxonville. Because you guys could then just run 3 or 4 and get pressure and then have everyone drop back. So if you're looking for a defensive end or edge, I would personally be targeting Yannick Ngakoue.
I feel that, yeah.
So then if I move over to the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one guy that I really could see fitting in there if you're looking to get all three positions filled in this. And another 26-year-old guy, really young. He's probably not going to get re-signed by the Packers. It's Kevin King. Kevin King was a very, very solid corner when he wasn't having to go up against the number one receiving option. Because Jair Alexander was great. He played a lot of slot, which meant that he wasn't going after the number one a lot of the time. So if you can get Kevin King to cover the two and play alongside Denzel Ward, I think that's a lights out option. So then you look at the next position of coverage linebacker, in the last position. Two guys that are on, in my opinion, the same level, going to be around the same price range. One of them's coming off an ACL injury, so that puts him a little bit below. Avery Williamson was a guy that we had on the Jets that we traded to Pittsburgh, and he played really well until he tore his ACL again. Not again, I shouldn't say that. Just Pittsburgh linebackers got messed up this season. Avery Williamson's a guy, though, like I was rooting for and cheered for. He's a very solid player. Not really going to wow you on the field, but he's not going to make any stupid mistakes. Or I think this is another guy from the Packers, Christian Kirksey. Both of them are 29 years old. Very, very good coverage guys.
Yeah, Kirksey started his career as a Brown.
Right. I knew that, and I didn't put a note about it. He could come back. I mean, he's a really solid coverage guy. And now that you guys are winning, he might want to just wrap it back around. But if you can land Kevin King and either Yannick and Clowney, and then either Williamson or Kirksey, like the defense is going to be filthy. If you can somehow find a way to get three of these guys here, it's going to be filthy.
So I'm going to do the same thing as you, put the three positions. I know you want to do free agency. I will fill one of those positions, possibly two, in the draft by drafting Zaven Collins. Excellent coverage linebacker. Could become an edge rusher at some point, but more of a coverage linebacker. I love Zaven Collins, so I'm taking care of one of those. Edge, like I said, I would love to have Von Miller. Yannick Ngakoue is not a bad choice. But I feel like Yannick Ngakoue, he's a line. Is he more of an edge or is he a linebacker? Because
he's not a linebacker. He's played defensive end his whole career, but it was more of an edge.
Yeah, so I like Ngakoue there. And then, and if not, I think you can find – like I think these three positions are fixable in the draft to me, or two of the three no matter what. Because, like I said, you take Zaven Collins or you take I want Zaven Collins, or you take one of the corners is bound to fall, J.C. Horn, not Caleb. I mean, if Caleb Farley's there at 26, give me him, obviously.
J.C. Horn can be there, though.
Oddly enough, I also did see PFF did their latest. Once again, I promise this is not where I get all my news. PFF did their latest mock draft. You know who they had the Browns taking at 26? Micah Parsons.
He's not falling that far.
They think I agree. I don't think he's going to fall that far.
He's not getting out of the top 10.
The reasoning is not terrible. I don't think he'll fall to the Browns, but he's not very good in coverage.
I see. That's the problem that I have with any thing that people write about Penn State. Just because he didn't have to do it in college, or they didn't want him to do it in college, doesn't mean he's bad at it. They used him as an edge because that's what they needed him for, and he excelled in it. So that they're looking at it like, he's not good at coverage.
As an edge.
I mean, they used him basically to blitz.
They used him as a run-stopping middle linebacker. Yes. Right,
and I know, but he was never asked really to go back in coverage. And it's not that he got burnt every time he did it or whatever. He just wasn't asked to do it often, so there's not a lot of tape on it. So then people are just like, he's not good at coverage. No, that's just what the team needed him to do. So, and it's always Penn State players on defense, always.
Oh, didn't know you liked Penn State that much.
I don't even like Penn State that much, but every time a defensive player comes out of Penn State,
I'm just going to say, PFF said he's bad at coverage, and I'll believe you, but PFF usually knows when he's bad in coverage. But I mean, if Micah Parsons falls to you there, I mean, that's you're filled with edge, and he's good enough to eventually develop into a good coverage linebacker. So that's a dream scenario for the Browns. I don't see that happening. So like I said, you're either taking Zaven Collins or one of the cornerbacks that fall, and then you can just address the edge in free agency if you want with a guy like Ngakoue or Von Miller. Or, I mean, in the second round, there's bound to be edge rushers that are waiting to be found. And the Browns have enough player and cap and draft capital and money to possibly move up in the second round if they need to. And then I will say, I guess, in the corner market, like I said, I don't think Patrick Peterson's a great fit because to me as a Browns fan, you have to go into next year thinking that Greedy Williams is going to be healthy and play, or else you might just you might as well just cut him this year. So, and Greedy Williams is not a slot. If they could pull off signing Mike Hilton to play in the slot, and then either if they could sign Mike Hilton, that'd be huge. He could either be a cover, he could be an outside corner, and he could be a slot guy. And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I actually think a guy like Sean Wade will probably fall into the middle to late second round.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised if they picked him. You liked him like 2 months ago.
I've been doing a lot more reading and research, and more stuff's coming out about him. If you're looking for a good place to get stuff that's not PFF, the Draft Network is a website that I go to very often.
I've seen it. PFF kind of has a better reputation.
I know. I'm just saying I like a lot of the stuff that comes out of there. Just as an alternate source.
Honestly, I just use PFF because it's easy when I'm writing. It's just PFF said that we have the best line in the world. So whatever. Well, like I said, that's going to do it for today's show. Sorry we didn't get to some of the segments. But like I said, we when we talk about football and basketball, we talk about football and basketball. So like I said, we will be back with you Monday of next week with the guest. Her name is ex-NFL cheerleader Jennifer Cobb. She's going to come talk to us about Team Gateway to a Cure, and which is basically she works with Michael J. Fox Association to find a cure for Parkinson's. It's somewhat personal to me because my grandmother had Parkinson's and it affected her. It was played a role in her death. So, but yeah, it should be a really good, really good interview. We'll also ask her probably some football stuff about cheerleading. I don't know. I will send over her agent our outline tomorrow because he has to prep her on it. So yes, we will have that. And then another, you have a Butler player coming on. Tell us about that.
I do. This is my buddy Mitch Lalotti. He plays offensive line for us as Butler Bulldogs.
Yes, I love offensive line guys.
Dude, he's so chill. Like Mitch and I have been friends for like at least 2 years now, and you're gonna love him. He's a huge Browns fan. You guys can geek out over that. So
dude,
I was like, you know what, Mitch? I need you to come on and meet my guy Justin. You guys will get along just fine.
I'm already campaigning for Mitch to be drafted by the Browns at some point. I'm already campaigning it. Don't worry, Mitch. I'll take care of you. We got it. But also, I was very lucky today. I followed. So North Dakota is number one in the FCS rankings, my FCS rankings, and they're in some number one in some of them. They're either one through three somewhere. They beat South Dakota State last week. It was a big upset, and I saw one of their players on there. He was he was a white running back that had sunshine hair, number 7, fast as hell. And I looked him up, and I searched him on Twitter, and his name is Matt Skokna, I believe.
Okay.
That could be wrong. Let me check my phone. But and so I followed him last night. And so I was just like, whatever. And so the follow, he was like, okay. And then so I was able to send him a direct message. And I messaged him. I was like, I know it's a long shot, man. I know you got the season going on. Any chance you can come on? He said, hell yeah.
Let's go.
He said, hit me up this weekend. Like I said, you're going to love him. He's really cool. I've kind of talked to him a little bit. And I'll give you his highlights versus the South Dakota State. I mean, the dude – his all-purpose yardage was crazy. I mean, he returned 2 kickoffs past the 50, returned a punt very far, and had 2 rushing touchdowns. He's awesome. Like I said, his name is Matt Skokna. We'll have him on. maybe next week or even the week after. We should have other FCS players on as well. And I don't know, we've gotten, like we've said in the past, we've gotten really lucky with some guests this time around. So we're going to try and keep it. I don't know how we're going to end up doing with guests because we already take an hour and 45 minutes ourselves. So
to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, that's all coming next week. So just make sure you tune in. Good luck on your date, Tom, on Sunday.
I don't have a date. I do not have a date.
If you follow Tom on Twitter, his handle is down here. On Sunday morning or Sunday night, just congratulate
do not have
him.
A date.
Congratulate him on having sex.
That is not that. That's not a thing.
So Tom, good luck on your date.
Do not have a date.
Big news. I know I told you last night. I posted on Facebook. We are officially on Spotify. I uploaded everything into Anchor yesterday, all of our episodes, all the interviews. So we are available on Spotify. And by the end of the week, we will be up wherever you get your podcast, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Will be up everywhere, which is going to be awesome considering we're having some good guests next week. So our ratings should go up. But like I said, make sure you tune in next week. We got things are going good right now. We got some good stuff going in the future. Anything you got to add, Tom, other than
it's Go Dogs, baby, and there's no date.
All right, Tom. All right. Well, that'll do it. Have a good weekend, everybody. Tom, have a great date.